Thank you. Welcome to the February 2025 meeting of Oldham County Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm Greg King, Chair. If everyone will please join me in a pledge before we get underway. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Everyone, please also join me at this moment. Silence those electronics for the duration of the hearing. And commissioners, if you would please join me in welcoming Rob Gwynn to our midst. Gwynn is stepping into the seat that was vacated by Ben Winters and will be our new commissioner here. So, Mr. Gwynn, thank you for your volunteerism and your participation in the public process. We appreciate you being here. We're going to start with approval of minutes. Did everybody get a copy of the minutes? If you did, I'm hearing a chatter there, here and there that is so. Need to go ahead and get a motion on the floor. Mr. Hampton, thank you. Do we have any edits, corrections, updates? Mr. Marsh, was that you?
I said second.
A second, okay. All right, any additional? Mr. Finney?
Question. Well, let me find it. I'm sorry. All right. Page 7 of 22. Bullet point 3, questioning of the applicant representative support of application of the commission. It said, Commissioner Finney asked, has the construction started? And Mr. Oakley replied, no. My question was, has the construction started on the previous part of there was two parts to this question, and this makes this ambiguous, which brings up my question. In the past we had a parcel approved for construction on the other acreage, and this acreage plot was being moved. And my question, what had construction started on the previous acreage that was approved? And that was not in there. In other words,
All right. Mr. Fisher, can we add that clarification to the question?
I mean, do we just want to put on there, has the construction started on the previously approved parcel?
Acreage? Mm-hmm.
On the
yes,
acreage?
because this was being moved from one place to the other.
Right.
And that is not clear in that question.
Okay. So we'll just add on the previously approved parcel.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Finney?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll move for voice, or we'll vote by voice vote. All approved of the minutes is corrected. Please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign, and the minutes are approved. All right. Point of order, Mr. Counsel. As we move into the first docket item, it is currently on the table. Do we need to remove it from the table before we read into the docket?
Probably be appropriate to have a motion to remove it from the table.
Floor is open for removal.
Mr. Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
I move that we remove docket PZ 25006 from the table.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Do I have a second? Second. All right, voice vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. And PZ-25-006 has been removed from the table. Ms. Edgar, can you read this one into the docket, please?
Docket PZ-25-006.
We'll get there.
Oh, okay. Application has been filed by Alyssa and William Withrow for a waiver of Oldham County Subdivision Regulations, Section 5.7E, joint access, fourth parcel on access easement, and a waiver of access easement width for a proposed minor plat 10801 Little Pond Road, Goshen. The property is 3.79 acres and zoned R1 residential.
Thank you, Ms. Edgar. Ms. Barge, before we get underway, we're going to get staff sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I didn't know if you were supposed to stand or not. Sorry, y'all.
Good morning.
Ms. Barge, you'll have the staff presentation.
Good morning, Anna Barge, Senior Planner. Today we're here for the access easement waivers for Alyssa, and I hope I'm saying your wife's name right. Okay, Alyssa and William Winthrow at 10801 Little Pond Road in Goshen. So this is a proposal that Ms. Edgar just read. Their zoning is R1 and the land use is residential, and it's 3.79 acres. There's no site history for this parcel. The agenda was posted to the county website on January 30th, and adjoining property owner notices were mailed out on February 6th, and the public notice went in the Oldham Era on February 13th. So this is the parcel in question, which is at the end of Little Pond Road. So the applicant is proposing to create a minor plat that will create a new 1.1 acre tract and a residual 2.62 acre parcel. Section 5.7 of the subdivision regulations states that no more than 3 parcels may take access from any single street encroachment, not considered frontage street or a private driveway. So this is like an access easement. In splitting the lots, the access easement would now have 4 parcels that take access from it, which is why they're asking for a waiver today. And splitting the lots, that's what I said. Okay. So the applicant is requesting a waiver of that subdivision regulation, section 5.7E, for the approval of a 4th parcel on an access easement. Additionally, they have a section of their access easement that is not the full 40 feet width, which is what's required in subdivision regulations section 7.1. And the narrowest part is 30 feet. And so they're having to ask for a waiver of section 7.1 of the access easement. So the applicant will prepare a minor plat and a shared road maintenance agreement between all parties involved. So this is the section 050-010 of R1, just all the regulations for the R1 zoning. And this is the regulations for a waiver, the first waiver, which is the access easement, the joint access on the access easement. And then the waiver 2 is for section 7.1 of the subdivision regulations, the waiver of the 40 feet width, because they do have a portion that is less than that 40 feet. So this is a little bit hard to see, but I'm going to use this mouse. This section of the access easement width is 51.54 feet. And then this section's 43 and something, and then you'll see over here that this is the 30-foot portion, and that's what they're asking to waive. So on the new minor plat, the new proposed track, all of that is at least 40 feet wide. And then on the residual tract, it is as well. It's just coming in from Little Pond Road is where some of it is not that full 40 feet wide. So here's just zoomed in a little bit more so you can see here's the 30 feet portion, the 43 and change, and the 51 and change portion. So this is just a site photo, that was taken of where the new lot will be. In summary, the applicant is requesting a waiver for the first waiver of the subdivision regulations, section 5.7E, for the approval of a fourth parcel on an access easement. For this waiver, the potential conditions of approval is the waiver shall only apply to the plan reviewed at the February 25th Oldham County Planning Commission public hearing. Secondly, a minor plat application and survey must be submitted for staff review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits. And third, a shared road maintenance agreement shall be prepared and agreed upon by all parties affected and recorded with the minor plat. So the second request is the waiver of the access easement width. So the requirement that we have for the access easement width is 40 feet. They're requested at their narrowest part. Keep in mind, some of it is larger than 40 feet. So at the narrowest, it is 30 feet. So the difference in access easement width is 10 feet. Potential conditions of approval for this one is the same as before on the first one. The waiver shall only apply to the plan reviewed at the February 25th, 2025 Oldham County Planning Commission public hearing. And the same thing, a minor plat and survey must be submitted for staff review prior to the issuance of any building permits.
Thank you, Ms. Barge. Does that complete your presentation?
Yes, and we did not receive any public comments for or against this.
Thank you. Anything additional from staff? All right. Commissioners, questions of staff. Mr. Douglas.
This might be a legal question, but sorry.
Not getting paid for that.
I know. Technically, the existing easement is 30 feet,
Is your mic
correct?
on?
Yes.
Okay.
The existing right-of-way, or I should say, the easement currently coming into that property on Little Pond Road is 30 feet, correct? Mm-hmm. That was the existing, sometime down the road was 30 feet, I guess. Our statutes were. But the new road that he's going to put in to connect to that 30 feet is at 40 feet or above, correct?
The part through the new tract is going to be 40 feet or above, but the part through the other tract.
So why
is
do
not.
we need a waiver if the existing property that he's going to subdivide to connect to an existing 30 feet that was already pre-approved?
So it may have been what we call legal non-conforming lot, and so now that we're making changes, we need to make sure that we check all the boxes and dot our i's and cross our t's would be what I would assume.
She gave you an answer? That's the right answer.
I guess.
Yeah, anytime you change something on a legal non-conforming, you have to make it conform. So.
Yeah. And it's just to clean it up. I mean, if you
Yeah.
remember this one, when it came last month, that was the part that we didn't include and didn't notice. So that's why we're back this month.
Right.
And it's just to clean it up and understand that when this new lot is created, they did obtain a waiver for that existing access that goes into that lot. Just makes it a little cleaner down the road.
Yes.
Mr. Douglas, anything additional? All right. Anyone else? Mr. Marsh.
Could you pull the map up again, please?
Yes. Do you want the more zoomed in one?
The one, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, so the new tract is exactly where? It's in the back?
It's this
in
one.
the front. Okay,
Yes.
so the drawing where you have the buildings, what is the second building? You've got a existing building?
You'll have to ask the applicant when he comes up. I do not know.
Okay, excellent. Got it. Thank you.
All right. Commissioners, further questions? Further questions for staff? All right. Thank you, Ms. Barge.
Okay, thank you.
All right. This time we'll move into presentation from applicant. Let's get your name and address. We'll get you sworn in.
William Aaron Withrow. Address is 10801 Little Pond Road, Goshen, Kentucky, 40026.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Floor is yours.
To address the question posed, there is not a second structure. what I'm deciphering is the one that attaches to the dashed driveway includes porches, and then the one pulled off is without porches and rotated for some reason.
All right. Do you have anything else to add to what Ms. Barge presented?
I do not. You did such an exceptional job.
All right. If you'll give me just a second here, if you have nothing to add, is anyone here wishing to speak on behalf of this application, in support of this application? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? All right, commissioners, we're going to dispense with rebuttal and finals, but we do have an opportunity for questions for the applicant from you. Questions for the applicant. Mr. Finney.
The Little Pond Road, whose property is that actually on?
Our immediate neighbor, Joe Finley.
Should he be here since we're actually getting a waiver or something like this that involves his property?
Well, he got noticed, Mr. Finney. He was noticed. I mean, that's his,
It's his priority?
yeah, I mean, if he had something to say about it, he had the opportunity to come and tell you what his concerns were.
Okay, thank you.
Is it fair to also add that he will also necessarily be party to the maintenance agreement on this particular access? Mr. Baxter?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Okay,
And
thank you.
And I have had conversation with all adjoining neighbors.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, further questions?
Jim, I don't know if you want to address how much of Little Pond Road is county maintained. I don't know if that matters in this instance, but I know there's a small portion of it that, or maybe not. Maybe I dreamed that.
No, and I wasn't prepared for this, but if I recall from our last scheduled hearing, just the very beginning portion, right there at Taylor Place, Old Taylor Place subdivision, there's a short portion that's maintained by the county, but not the road in its entirety.
Thank you, Mr. Silliman. Commissioners?
One thing.
Mr. Baxter,
and
please.
Mr. Withrow, I think you told us last month, and I want to make sure I'm not putting words in your mouth, but you don't live in the subdivision. This property is outside and adjoins the subdivision, right?
That's correct.
So there's no
the three
issue-
parcels on Little Pond are not within the subdivision bounds.
yeah.
When you say the subdivision, you're referring to Old Taylor Place?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Further questions, commissioners? Further questions? Ms. Davis?
Are there any homes, existing homes on the other site that's already there? If there's,
On the new proposed parcel,
no, the other part, this beyond it. When you drive through where you're the new one, is there anything on the back one?
there is a home on the residual
Okay.
lot, yes.
Thank you.
And that's currently our personal residence.
Okay, further questions? All right, guys, this will then close the public testimony portion of this hearing without rebuttal. We're not doing cross-examination and rebuttal, or without other testimony, we're not doing cross-examine and rebuttal. We will move into motion making. Mr. Fisher.
All right, so we've got two waivers before you. The first waiver we're going to look at is the waiver of the fourth parcel access. On page 2 of your staff report, you do have suggested motions to approve or deny the waiver. And then the potential conditions of approval on that are the waiver shall only apply to the plan reviewed at the February 25th, 2025 Planning Commission public hearing, and a minor plat application and survey must be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
a
Fisher.
one more, sorry,
Right ahead.
next page. A shared road maintenance agreement shall be prepared and agreed upon by all parties affected and recorded with the minor plat.
Yes, thank you. All right, commissioners, questions? If none, Floor is open for a motion on the waiver, fourth parcel access. Mr. Douglas?
Mr. Chairman, reference docket PZ-25-006. I make a motion that we approve a waiver of section 5.7 of the subdivision regulation. That this motion in strict compliance will create an undue hardship because of the exceptional, unique topography of the existing 30-foot easement that's going there. But on the property itself, there are 3 parcels, and then he's creating a 4th parcel. I don't see any undue hardship or any detrimental to the public good at this time, and it doesn't create any impairment of the purposes and basic objectives and intent of the subdivision regulations, and that the potential conditions of approval, the waiver shall only apply to the plan reviewed at the February 25th, 2025 Planning Commission public hearing, and a matter of plat application survey must be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits. And also, the applicant must provide a shared road maintenance agreement, be prepared and agreed upon by all parties affected and recorded with the minor plat.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas. Mr. Baxter?
Mr. Douglas, you said potential condition, you're incorporating the potential conditions of approval
Correct.
into your motion.
Incorporating.
So they're going to be the conditions of approval.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Then we have a good motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Baxter. We have a motion on the floor. Second?
Second.
Mr. Marsh, thank you. Discussion? Being none, we'll move into roll call vote.
Ms. Davis? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Elder?
Yes.
Ms. Kraus?
Yes.
Mr. Falvey?
Yes.
Mr. Finney?
Yes.
Mr. Hampton?
Yes.
Mr. Gwynn?
Yes.
Ms. Nasser?
Yes.
Ms. Walzer?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Edgar. And the motion to approve the waiver for fourth parcel access has been approved. Motion or a vote of 11-0. Next up, Mr. Fisher.
All right. Next one is the waiver of the access easement width. That requirement is 40 feet. They are requesting a small portion of that access easement be the existing 30 feet, just to clean up that language. And then the difference in that access easement width would be a 10-foot request. You, on page 3 of your staff packet, you do have motions to both approve or deny that waiver with the potential conditions of approval, which will in your motion become your conditions of approval. Be the waiver only applies to the plan reviewed at the February 25th, 2025 Planning Commission public hearing, and a minor plat application and survey must be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. All right, commissioners, questions? If none, the floor is open for a motion on the waiver of access easement width.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Marsh.
quick question.
Yeah.
If this is denied, even though the applicant is going to meet the criteria and his property under his control, does this stop this from moving forward, or does that remain grandfathered at the 30 that it is currently at? Continuation of Mr. Douglas's question.
Well, I think the idea here is whenever you come in and you're making a request for anything, and you've got an opportunity to correct a problem, which I don't know what the regulations were when this road was first established. I don't know if it should have been 40 feet. We only did 30. I don't, you haven't looked back. I mean, I don't have any idea, but I mean, the regulations now require that you have a 40-foot access easement. So the idea is so that everything is quote-unquote legal,
Documented.
we're going to get that straightened out.
We're going to document that. Okay,
yes,
perfect.
yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
All right, we're good. Further questions? Seeing none, we'll move into roll call vote. Oh, beg your pardon. Floor is still open for a motion. Ms. Kraus.
Regarding docket PZ 25006, I move that we approve the waiver because the design innovations in this case are in alignment with the current road. And I see no detriment to public good or community. This waiver shall only apply to the plan reviewed today, February 25th, 2025, at the Planning Commission public hearing. And a minor plat application and survey must be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits.
Thank you, Ms. Kraus. Mr. Baxter.
We have an adequate motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Falvey, thank you. All right, discussion? Okay, Mr. Douglas.
Sorry. I think one of the conditions of approval should be that the new access easement he's building is building within the confines of the 40 feet. He's only attaching to the conditions of the waiver to the 30 feet. So as we're approving this, it almost sounds like we're giving him a waiver to build a new road to the new lot in 30 feet because we're giving him a waiver of 10 feet, the way this sounds, on track 3A or 3B or whatever it is. That's what it sounds like to me. So I think there needs to be something in the condition of approval of that.
Not sure I understand the question.
I don't either.
Well, we're asking, usually when we give a waiver to someone to build something, we're asking them to build a waiver. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I follow what you're
Because
saying.
we
So
just did this
he's
in the last
basically
one.
saying, can we, in the motion, or at least I think that's what you're saying, is, if you look at the mouse here, approve the waiver up to this new tract. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So not approving the waiver for the full because it meets the standards past this black line right here, this vertical line, but just doing the waiver for this portion. If you can say that in the motion, I don't know.
My understanding is that he's probably going to connect to the road that's on his property, which is 30 feet. So this waiver sounds like we're giving him permission to go ahead and
Do 30 for the whole.
30 feet for the whole thing.
Right.
That's my legal question I asked before.
Yes.
But maybe I didn't explain it in detail.
Yes, I'm following now.
So
Is the plan as presented on the proposed lot, does it have a 40-foot width?
Yes, it has at least 40 foot. So it has 43.82 here and 51.54. So yeah, like you said, if we use the plan presented today, then they would have to follow that first condition of approval is the plan presented today. And the plan presented today is that it's 30 feet wide from here to here and 43.82 here and 51. So it meets, so we're not giving them approval of the whole thing on the plan presented today. We're only giving it on where they put it. Does that make sense?
it makes sense.
Okay.
Just for future reference.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure I'm speaking the same language.
Mr. Baxter, did you have something?
Now I understand, but what are you asking them to?
I just want to make sure that if he decides not to build something and then somebody comes in and says, oh, I got a waiver to build a 30-foot easement. Even though it's proposed, because we're, I don't know.
Right.
Because he's come in and asked for a waiver for, I'm not on. He's asked for a waiver to access on the first motion for a waiver for a fourth parcel access, correct? And that fourth parcel is 3B.
Correct.
So even though testimony has been given that he's going to build a 40-foot easement in there, but we're given a waiver to attach that 40-foot easement to the 30-foot easement. But
Right.
I just didn't know if that should be explained, even though
Right.
I don't know.
I
I mean,
under-
technically,
I understand. I think, like Anna said, that plans presented at today's hearing covers, but then also the minor plat application process. Once they go to apply for the minor plat to get this plat approved, we're going to make sure that that's 40
recorded.
feet all the way up to that. And if it doesn't comply with the regulations, then that's when we would tell them, hey, this doesn't comply, you've got to go for a waiver. So I think both of the conditions will cover that.
Okay.
No, not a new waiver. He didn't mean to say that. I think some of y'all got confused on his misspeaking. He said if that doesn't comply, then you'll have to go back and fix it to comply with the existing waiver that they, assuming they get approved for this next one.
Meaning if they were to put in the minor plat for approval from staff and
Yeah.
it said 30 feet on that new proposed parcel, we would say you can't get that unless you go for a waiver.
Yeah,
So
a
that's
new
what that
waiver.
that would mean.
Or fixing it to conform to what it was today. So you would have, if he made any changes, he would have to come back to planning commission. Does that make sense?
But
From
the
this
waiver is
drawing.
dedicated, not built. A driveway is what's built. Right? So they're dedicating a waiver for, an easement for a 40-foot easement for a driveway that is already constructed. Right? It's already in place. No, not yet. Yes, it is. They're coming across that existing driveway that's being used to access. Right?
Well, yes, it is, because his house
Yeah,
is
this is
at
his house.
10801. Right. And the driveway is right there.
Okay.
So
That's a 30-foot easement that's already in existence, correct?
I don't know what.
They're proposing a 40-foot. What brings it to the property is a 30-foot easement, but that's probably a 12-foot or so driveway.
Our legal counsel has already made,
So what's what's
justification.
going to show up on the plat is going to be from here to wherever the new property line is going to be 40 feet.
oh,
That part, right?
oh, he's
At least-
widening
at
the
least
existing
40 feet.
driveway.
But the existing driveway, where it
Easement.
says Little Pond Road, is what the waiver applies to.
Okay.
We're allowing a 30-foot access, existing access to the fourth proposed parcel, which is non-conforming.
Yeah. And so it's the easement is a little bit different than a driveway because the driveway is only so wide.
Correct.
And the easement's wider than the driveway.
Okay.
In case. Yeah.
I'm satisfied. He's
Okay.
already.
Okay, good. I just want
It's
to make
on
sure it made
record.
sense.
I just wanted it on record in case somebody comes in and says,
Gotcha.
I got a waiver to build a 30-foot.
And we have the checks and
Withrow
balances.
thought he was going to be out of here at like 9:10. We've managed to turn this into.
All right, Mr. Douglas, you good? I'm good. All right. Any further questions, discussion? All right, you guys good if we go ahead and call for the question? All right, let's go. Ms. Edgar?
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Ms. Walzer?
Yes.
Ms. Nasser?
Yes.
Mr. Gwynn?
Yes.
Mr. Hampton?
Yes.
Mr. Finney?
Yes.
Mr. Falvey?
Yes.
Ms. Kraus?
Yes.
Was that a yes?
That was a yes.